understanding the build process. See, most of you in this particular class also, not necessary you are a developer. You might be more into IT operations. You might be more better in creating the infrastructure where the code has to be deployed. But I told you in the beginning, if you remember, DevOps is all about dev, developer, ops, the IT operations coming together and working with. So certain aspects of IT operations should be known to the developer, and certain aspects of development should be known to the operations guy. Rather, a DevOps should know both of them, in short. He should know a little bit of programming flow, and he should know how the infrastructure is also created. In this particular session, I want to teach you how a project is built, how a project is compiled or published, and how a project is tested, at least locally. Now remember, very important mantra. DevOps pipelines cannot do anything which is not possible for us to do manually. Very important. Only if you know the procedure of doing something manually, you should be able to use DevOps pipeline to do it in an automated way. It's all about automation. Automation is never possible unless something is possible manually. So my way of teaching, not only today, throughout the course, that is where I become different from others in teaching. Always I am going to show you steps of how to do things manually on your computer, and then the same set of steps I would want to build through a pipeline step by step. Whatever we do manually, same thing should be automated. Don't try to make anything direct automation. You will fail. That's a blunder you are going to do, guys. So what is that a DevOps engineer will do? Suppose he is going to work with a Java project. He will work with a Java developer. He will understand basic structure of a Java project. He has to understand what is a package, how a class is written inside a package, how a class is built to get a .class file, how multiple classes have to be combined into a different set of packages and then create a directory structure, how whole of these things should be bundled into a single jar file or a var file. This is for Java. Like that, a Node.js application has got certain steps for performing the build. A .NET application has certain steps. Python application has, Ruby has. Every language has got its own set of steps for 1, creating a project, 2, adding files to the project, 3, building the project, 4, packaging the project, making it ready for deployment. These are 4 common steps. So I want to focus purely on .NET, at least at this point of time. Maybe sometime later, if it permits and if I get some knowledge, I would also want to show on how Node.js project or probably a Java project can be used for a pipeline. We'll see that part later. But let us say you are a raw person, you don't know any programming. So first thing you'll have to do is on your machine, you have to install .NET Core SDK. So go and type .NET SDK, download, and go to .NET.microsoft.com and preferably install the latest version. You can install .NET 5, 5.1, now .NET 6 is already there. So maybe .NET 6, whatever is latest, doesn't really matter. Install the latest, and that too on your machine, install the latest SDK. .NET SDK you install. If you go here, you can either directly use the link or it will download and do it from there. I've already done this on my machine, so I don't need it. Yeah, you might be working on Mac. There is a Mac operating system version. If you're working on Linux, if you want to work with Docker, that option is also open. All Docker images for .NET from Docker Hub. Anyways, that's not the target. So as the first step, you have installed .NET SDK on your machine. A wizard will open next, and it will be done. After installation, open a new command window and verify what is the .NET version you have. I have the latest 5.2. Now, we would like to create a .NET project. As a developer, this is what every new project a developer is going to do. So I'll create one folder for myself. Say something like Hello World app. Go to that, or we don't even want to create the folder. Go to some folder where you're going to create your projects. One folder by your name or your demo's name or whatever name you want. And in this folder, I would like to first create a solution. Now, specifically, when you're working with .NET, you have to always start with solution on top. A solution is made up of multiple projects. So if you're working with C#, it's a .C# project. If you're working with VB, it is .VB Based on your language, the extension of the project file will be given. Within a C# project, all your CS files will be there. One or more, many might be there. Like that, you might have also got some configuration files. You might have XML files. You might have many other different types of files. So is the case with even VB. We are always going to first create a solution, and under solution, we are going to add a project. Now, to begin with, I'm going to add only one project to the solution today. That is going to be my web-based application. But as we progress in this particular course, in the same solution, I'm going to add a test project. I'm going to add a database project. I'm going to add a UI test project. I'm going to add a class library project. So we are going to build the same solution with multiple projects throughout the course, giving you complete real-time scenario of how development is done using DevOps. So first step is to create a project, solution. I have documented steps. You can literally copy from here. And run them in sequence. .NET new basically will create a new solution by name Hello World app. You'll see actually one folder is created. Go to the folder, and in that folder there is only one file, SLN file, solution file that is. That solution file maintains information about all the projects. Now in the solution folder, I want to create a project. So to create a project, we say .NET new. There are different types of project in .NET we can work with. I would like to create a MVC project. You can create a test project like this. You can create a UI test, unit test, class library project like this, console application like this. Different types of projects you can create by using different values here. You can see, just type .NET new, and so many different types of projects are supported. So now I go here and type .NET new MVC. I want to work with a MVC project, web-based application. I want to give a name to the project, and the way I'm giving the name is Hello World app.web. Hello World app.web. That's the name of the project. Enter. So it is now going to create a subdirectory under the solution directory, which is by the name of project. So tomorrow I'll say .NET new test -n hello world app.test. So different types of project for different type of situations we are going to create. Right now we are happy with only one project. But this project which we have created now, if you go to that folder, you will find there is a csproj file. Csproj file will contain information about the complete directory of your project. Basically, it will bind all these things together. And solution binds all the projects together. That's how the relationship is. So solution is a collection of project. A project is a collection of files. But did we add project to the solution? No. We have only created a project, but we did not add project to the solution. So add a project to the solution. .sln add .NET solution add and give the name of the project file. Just press tab. You have to give the name of the project file. Enter. Now solution refers to the project. The advantage of doing this is, tomorrow if I want to build all the projects of a solution, I directly build a solution and automatically the projects will be built. I don't have to build individual project. Fantastic. Now we have got a solution, and a solution has information about the project. They are tied up. And now what I want to do is, even before I proceed to the pipeline, I want to see its steps now for performing build. Project is created. Definitely this project I'm going to put it into the repository. Azure Repos I'm going to push this project into. But even before I go there, I want to first test the project locally on my machine. So to build the project, we have to use .NET build. That's a command. And you can give the project name if you want. But if you give the solution, automatically the project will be built. So in the solution directory, I'm performing .NET build. And you see, first, it has executed one step called as determining projects to restore. Of course, in my case, I don't have anything to restore. We have not used any packages yet. So direct build happened, where the compilation of all the code is performed, and the result of compilation is some output. Where can I see that output? Ideally, let us go to Explorer. So hello world app, DEVOPS demos, hello world app, and you see solution and web. Under solution, one bin folder gets created now. Under bin debug, .NET supports two types of build. One is called as debug configuration build, and the other is called as release configuration build. So if you want debug, you should give configuration and give debug, which is default actually. Or if you want release configuration, --release. So when you do release, you see here release folder will get created. So based on the configuration type of build, you get one of these two. Now understand the difference. Debug configuration generally contains debugging symbols, which are used and very helpful when we are doing debugging and if there is any kind of error. If you want to, as a developer, go through the code line by line with breakpoint, paste the code, or if the error occurs, you want to know the line number where the actual error has occurred. In those cases, debug configuration is useful. So .NET 5, and this is where my output is generated. You see the primary output file is actually hello world app.web.exe, but remember this will work only on Windows. So how do I run the application? Same output, remember, in .NET is going to work on Linux, Windows, Mac. I can literally copy this on all the three platforms and make it run. Absolutely no problem. So debug, go back. In release also you'll see the same structure, nothing different. But generally this is considered to be much better in performance when compared to debug configuration build. This is comparatively slower. Right now you'll not feel the difference because there is no custom code. Whatever is there, only the skeleton generated code is there, the default code is there. The developer will work on this base code and improve based on the requirement of the application. We are not interested in all that aspect, at least at this point of time. So now I need to run that DLL, this DLL. So how to run this DLL? To run that DLL, ideally speaking, go to the project folder. Because in the project folder, we have some other dependencies like www root. So the directory where www root is there, from there only you are supposed to do .NET bin / debug / give here the DLL file. .NET blah 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 DLL. This command is going to work on all the three: Windows, Linux, Mac. At all the three places this is going to execute. So my web server has started. My web server is now ready to listen to the request on port number 5000. That's the URL. Copy. Don't stop this. You can stop this by pressing Ctrl+C, but don't stop this. Let it run. And now go to the browser, and in browser paste localhost 5000, and you see the output. Yes, definitely this is the default output of our application. Nothing much is there in this. Very basic. All template generated code is only there at this point of time. When you are done testing, you may stop. So what we did, we created a project. Basically, we created a solution. We added a project to the solution. Of course, we created a project also. Added the project to solution. But this is all one-time job. On your machine, you have to do it. Now this code, once it is there, definitely I would like to push it into the Azure repository. But before that, before pushing it into the Azure repository, Azure Repo, I wanted to test the application. For testing the application, the first command I executed was .NET build. But mind you, before .NET build, automatically one command is executed, .NET restore. .NET build produced some output which is good for testing. But you have seen it generated a folder, something like something like bin, net5, blah blah, debug and all that stuff. There is one more command which is best for producing output into a folder which I would like to directly publish on the target machine. So I said .NET publish -o, and you can give some out folder. So in the current directory only, I have an out folder in which I would like to publish it. Or you may want to create the out folder in the root directory. You do that. It's your choice. Whatever is the output in this, that is ultimate output which we should deploy in the production. Maybe before production, of course, into dev, QA, UAT, different environments. So these are the three important commands right now. Yeah, later we will add after build .NET test also we will add when we have unit testing. Like that, commands list will grow. So this learning you have to do similarly for Java. You have to sit with a Java developer and understand how a Java project is created and what are the different steps in producing a output required for running a Java application. Like here we use .NET, in Java there is Java-C. Java-C is the command. You have to, and to run the application, Java is used. Java-C, Java. In .NET it's the same, .NET only. Slightly different from Java. NPM commands, Node Package Manager. Node commands basically are used for Node.js. Python command, py commands are used. Anyways, that list is never ending. If you learn one, the steps are similar for other languages. Understand this point very clearly. So now that we have got .NET restore, .NET build, .NET publish, all these steps known thoroughly to be performed locally. Okay, we didn't complete .NET publish. Let's do that. So I go back to the solution folder, and from solution folder, I'm doing .NET publish -o, and in the root directory, I'm saying out. Enter. Automatically, it determined the projects to restore, build, and published. So go to now D:, out directory, you will see exact folder which you should copy and deploy. You don't see a net5, debug, release, nothing. Yeah, if you want to produce build configuration which is debug or release, the publish also, you can give again hyphen configuration or -c is the shortcut, debug or release. So release configuration build is performed, debug configuration build is performed. Like this output will be generated. And that too I am showing you right now for .NET Core or .NET 5. If you are using .NET Framework, you have to use MS Build or VS Build. What we are doing through .NET CLI command. In case of .NET Framework, MS Build, VS Build commands are used. And that you will have a learning curve to go through. All the command line options you have to give to MS Build for performing the build of your project in .NET Framework. Good. Now that we have this clarity that we can publish the output, can we go to that folder? Let's see. And just do .NET DLL. That's it. In the local directory it is there now. www root is also in that local directory only. And run. You can run the application without any problem. This is important. Control C, terminate it. Go back to we are back into the folder. Now I would like to check in this particular project into the Azure Repo, so that from Repo, next step would be to create a build pipeline. But now I would like to take it to Azure Repo first. How to do it? First, initialize the local Git repository. Git init creates a local Git repository, and you see that a dummy, not a dummy, an empty folder is created now in this hidden folder. .git. This is where my local version control management system is going to exist. All the changes which I have made here, I want it to be saved into this repository. But before that, always remember, you should create a git ignore file. You should always create a git ignore file. The easiest way to create a git ignore file is go to view extensions, search for git ignore. You'll find a lot of extensions. I've already installed Code Zombie. After you install it, after you install the extension, go to, just press F1 otherwise, and search add git ignore. One more window will come. Type here Visual Studio and use this option, the first one, Visual Studio.git ignore. You can choose the second one also, it's your choice. I'm using the first one. This is going to add a git ignore file here. Automatically it added. So all these are files which I don't want to be tracked. I don't want my local repository to track changes to these files, these folders, these extensions. You don't have to do anything. Again, it's a job of developer who will take care of it. But yes, you have to do it for demo purpose, so I'm showing you the steps. So now that you have created git ignore also using Visual Studio Code, time to now stage all the files. See, type git status first, you'll see red color. That means these files are not even staged. Git requires us to stage the content. So git add dot, look at git status now. All these are staged. Interesting thing to see, we don't have bin folder, we don't have obj folders, because these folders are irrelevant in the code repository, because these folders are going to be created on the fly every time we build the project. Rather, bin folder should never be added to the project. This is one common mistake many people do. They add bin folder to the project, and when they publish, hundreds of errors will come. Hundreds of dependency errors will come because the source code will try to, the compiler will try to look at that folder also. So in your project itself, that folder should be excluded. Bin, OBJ, that should never be part of the project, and by default they are ignored actually, unless you explicitly add them to the project. Okay, now we have a solution staged. Time to commit the changes. Let's say this is my first commit. I've committed also. Now if you look at git status, everything is committed, all clean branch. But where is the source code? It's only in my local repository. I want to push all this into the remote repository. So by this name, I would like to create a project in my DevOps. So to go to dev.azure.com, go to your organization and create a new project. Call it as Hello World App. It can be a private project, it can be a public project, your choice. I go for a private project and I do git version control system, item process, I'm not interested, just do create. This creates a private project. Fantastic. Now go to the repository. We have two sections. This is the section I am interested in because I want to push existing repository from the command line. If my local machine does not have any repository, I could have used clone command. But because the repository is already there, I would use these commands. So just copy them and run it in your folder. First time when you run, it will ask you to log into your repository. Because I have already logged in on my machine, it's not asking me. There is something called as git credentials. Credential manager. There is a credential manager. This is the credential manager, which is remembering that you have logged in, and it will not ask you for username and password again and again. Unless you want to change the username and password, you should then actually go to credential manager, search for your project under so and so organization, delete, then only it will work. But yes, as an end result now, you see when I come here, we have got the project. What we have done is a prerequisite required for us to construct a pipeline. At this point of time, our code has reached into the repository, and we are now ready after this to create a pipeline, CI pipeline to begin with. That's all in this session. And we'll continue with creating a CI pipeline step by step in the next session. Thank you.